lies and the truth, the pains and the gains, holding your leaders accountable for their actions and inactions on People's Parliament. Join millions of our people worldwide live tonight on BVI Channel 1 as we bring you People's Parliament, where we sit face to face with our leaders in different capacity, asking them probing questions for their actions and inactions. Time 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. tonight. Call our mobile or WhatsApp on 0810454533 or call our Skype BVI Channel 1 to ask your leaders questions and be the judge. If they fail to answer you on People's Parliament, they are not your leaders. Yeah, hello my esteemed viewers, you're welcome on tonight's edition on People's Parliament. I welcome you on today's edition, 15th of February 2019. As you can see right there on the screen, we already have my guest, Nnadi, seated already, but I need to bring you the introduction of this program so that you will know the direction of what we're going to be talking about. Don't forget that this is a live broadcast coming to you from BVI Channel 1 and reaching to the rest of humanity worldwide. You can reach and interact with this studio and also with Tony Nnadi right here at real time with the number you see on the screen, +234 810-4545-533. So before I bring in my guest to introduce himself and launch into what we're going to be talking about, take this message on what to expect on tonight on People's Parliament. I'll be right back. Stay tuned. Don't go away. The lies and the truth, the pains and the gains, holding your leaders accountable for their actions and inactions on People's Parliament. Join millions of our people worldwide live tonight on BVI Channel 1 as we bring you People's Parliament, where we sit face to face with our leaders in different capacity, asking them probing questions for their actions and inactions. Time 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. tonight. Call our mobile or WhatsApp on 0810-4545-533 or call our Skype BVI Channel 1 to ask your leaders questions and be the judge. If they fail to answer you on People's Parliament, they are not your leaders. The lies and the truth, the pains and the gains, holding your leaders accountable for their actions and inactions on People's Parliament. Join millions of our people worldwide live tonight on BVI Channel 1 as we bring you People's Parliament, where we sit face to face with our leaders in different capacity, asking them probing questions for their actions and inactions. Time 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. tonight. Call our mobile or WhatsApp on 0810-4545-533 or call our Skype BVI Channel 1 to ask your leaders questions and be the judge. If they fail to answer you on People's Parliament, they are not your leaders. Tonight on People's Parliament.
Again, the purpose of this event is to try to make sure that the Congress of the United States, the administration of this country, our friends and allies around the world, and not least, of course, people of goodwill in this country and elsewhere, are on notice that Nigeria is at risk of disastrous collapse.
So it's been a long time that we've needed a special envoy for Nigeria, and as part of Save the Persecuted Christians Coalition, and in my job as the International Religious Liberty Program Director at IRD, I'm going to do all I can to get that to happen. Just going back even further, this was following independence from Great Britain in 1960. Sir Amadou Bello said the new nation called Nigeria should be an estate of our great-grandfather, Uthman Danfodio. Now, you talked about the estate, the estate of the Caliphate.
Yes.
That's what they're saying. This is our property, and these people who are on it need to be wiped out. We must ruthlessly prevent a change of power. We use the minorities in the North as willing tools and the South as a conquered territory, and never allow them to rule over us, and never allow them to have control over your future. So, you know, Westerners, we tend to have very short memories, but this was declared then, and they're still working towards it, just as the Islamic cartoon regime in Sudan is working towards a caliphate. Caliphate is nothing to laugh at, whether it be from ISIS, from Boko Haram, from the cartoon regime, from Al-Shabaab, any of those groups. So we need a special envoy, and we need the right special envoy. We need a special envoy who is not morally equivalent, who doesn't talk about clashes between Muslims and Christians, who understands the truth and will work to help everyone in Nigeria.
Yeah, that Nigeria collapsed in 1966 when the constitutions that brought them together, you know, were overturned. And a rogue federal government emerged, operated by the Caliphate. And when you hear Caliphate, the Islam they put on it is to confuse those who do not know what it is all about. It's a political movement that grabs sovereign spaces and actually target the whole global, how much of it they can get. But they always require some launching by some operational basis in which they won't be challenged. And what's going on there is that they have found, having hijacked that federation, the sovereign space, housing that federation that collapsed in 1966, becoming a federal government. I'm sure you hear about federal government of Nigeria all the time. Becoming a federal government in a situation where the federation had collapsed, but operating a unitary system in which they're in charge of everybody's bedroom. They've seized all the assets of the owners of the place, and the only thing remaining now, and that's where the urgency of it comes in, the only thing remaining now is that they are eliminating what could become future claims of the indigenous peoples of the area by cleansing them off. They've already finished the task in these upper parts that they've imposed Sharia. We have 12 states that simultaneously impose Sharia in a supposedly secular federation. Having done that, they also found their way to government house. The Boko Haram you hear was just their mechanism to bulldoze their way to government house. We're in a fraud now in which the federation that collapsed is being sustained by brigandage, and they've imposed a constitution that we can no longer question. And anybody who says, what are you doing? What was Abiola's offense? Do you know why Abiola was killed? The servant does not rule over his master. So it's not only Jonathan that had to be chased away because he wasn't one of those who could preside. These same people are doing the killings in the Middle Belt, doing the killings in the East, doing the killings in the West. They are the ones who seized everybody's assets. They are the ones who imposed this constitution. And you join them to go to elections under that constitution. By what constitution would they govern? Anybody who wins in this election, by what constitution is he going to govern? You are reinforcing your enslavement. And if they kill you in the process, it's your ignorance that killed you. We've been going all over the place trying to tell people that this is what is the case. They are not listening.
Tony Nnadi and the world powers behind him will address Biafrans in particular and Nigeria in general. Live on BVI Channel 1 broadcast tonight, 7 p.m. Biafran time. Call +234-810-4545-533 to speak with the powers that be. Click on the link to watch now. Tonight on People's Parliament.
Again, the purpose of this event.
Yeah, we are back again. We are still on the live broadcast. This is BVI Channel 1. And we have my esteemed guest here, Tony Nnadi, right here with us on this program, I believe those of you watching, don't forget that this is a live broadcast coming to you from the studios of BVI Channel 1, where we'll be interacting with Tony Nnadi, the convener and Secretary General of Lower Niger Congress. Today, we are going to be talking about the Caliphate, the Nigerian Caliphate, and bringing it down. How would those who are conscripted within the geographical description of the British colonial contraption called Nigeria, how would they be freed? So today, we are bringing it raw, live, and direct with Tony Nnadi. Hello, Tony. Good evening, and welcome to BVI Channel 1 People's Parliament. It's a pleasure having you right here. Hello.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for having me.
Can you speak up, please, so that we can hear you loud and clear?
Yes, I say thank you for having me. Welcome, viewers.
All right. Okay. As a way of introduction, we just finished watching the video. Actually, it's a clip of your press conference and activities in the United States of America. Can you give us an overview, a summary of that clip we just watched, where they talked about the killings in Nigeria and the call for American government to intervene in stopping the caliphate? The lady there talked about what the Sultana of Sokoto, the statement he made on October 12th, 12 days after Nigeria got her independence, the things that Ahmadu Bello said, Sultana of Sokoto, Ahmadu Bello, said about Nigeria and the continuous expansion of the caliphate. So give us an overview of that conference in America. So we'll now take it up from there.
Yes, I was on account of what has been happening in Nigeria. I'm sure viewers will recollect that on the 11th of December in 2018, the Lower Niger Congress and its MNN alliance partners, spanning the whole of the south and middle belt of Nigeria, that is the aggregation of the self-determination nations throughout the south and the middle belt coming together. As you recall that there was an event we had which we called the Freedom Park Proclamation. By that Freedom Park Proclamation of September 11, 2018, the connectivity of the self-determination organizations operating in southern and middle belt Nigeria, trying to liberate their people from the bondage that Nigeria has become for them. The global community was watching, and it became basis for inviting one of the leaders of the movement. I was invited to a special congressional hearing on Nigeria because the United States has been concerned of late, especially since ISIS began to, operate in place of Boko Haram, dislodging the military from, their positions in the northeast of Nigeria. And what we did in that Freedom Park Proclamation was to provide a handle to the entire situation, pointing out who was responsible for bringing this ISIS into this region and what was likely to happen if that movement to relocate the headquarters of the global Islamic movement to Nigeria was not halted. And it was because of the government shutdown. Actually, that congressional hearing was, I was listed, but my appearance was listed for 19th of December at the Congress. But because of the government shutdown that happened thereafter, that congressional hearing had to be deferred because it couldn't go on with the shutdown in place. Therefore, those who, the hands behind the scenes, who were putting pressure on the American government to rise up to the situation before it got completely out of hand, called a press conference. The three organizations that were involved, they called a press conference at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., where I was then where I was asked to speak to the situation as we reported in some of the things we were doing in the days preceding. And what you saw in the video, the person who was talking about Frank Gaffney, I was talking about what the United States should do as a matter of urgency, was actually introducing my segment of program because I was invited as somebody on ground zero from the location where these things are happening to come to talk to the American public and by extension the American government on what is this problem we're talking about? That we were all here when Boko Haram came calling. We saw how it was used to bulldoze the way to Government House, and suddenly, in the midst at the peak of their glory, we saw when Boko Haram exchanged flags with ISIS, then operating freely in Syria and Iraq. And progressively from that point, ISIS declared its West African province operations and then began to do it in its name. The danger here, as the alarm we raise to the global community is that those who ought to be fighting that ISIS seem to be, working hand in glove with them. And we saw Nnadi talking about because in between they had assumed other sub-requests like the Fulani headsmen. They try to present themselves as headsmen, clashing with farmers and all of that. But all of that were just matters of deceit. The thing that was going on was that this Islamic Caliphate had moved in, aided by people in Government House, and dislodging communities and bringing in their own people to replace those communities that have been dislodged. They are cleansing the communities off and bringing Fulani elements from neighboring West African countries to relocate them into those locations that had been overrun. So that's the kind of thing that was going on. And our concern was that with if Nnadi, who is in a position to know, had identified it as ethnic cleansing, and we saw what the president had said about when the governors from the states that were being attacked went to ask for intervention by the president, who ought ordinarily to be the one leading the fight. He hadn't lifted a finger against them, and he told the governors to go home and live in peace with their neighbors. We saw the governor of Kaduna, the one that was talking about body bags for elections recently. We heard when he was talking about going to pay the invading foreign mercenaries in 14 different countries. That's the Fulani marauders. Everybody said they have gone to give them money in 14 different countries to persuade them, not to continue the killings that they were carrying out in the domain, in the place where it's supposed to be governing. And he also went further to say that he told them that Fulani was now in charge, and therefore they need not, continue in the way they were coming in before. Our interpretation of that is that there was a fight that previously it was a matter of trying to install the Fulani that warranted the rates that we have seen, the murderous rates we have seen. And since they've gotten to power, they were now being told to relax, that Fulani was now in charge and other things could be taken, as time went. So we have a situation where the federal government, the state government, in the places being overrun, seem to be working. We listen to the army chief, the chief of army, General Burutai, talking about the grazing routes which people have built upon, and that unless people vacated those grazing routes for free movement of cattle and their drivers, then they should be ready to take whatever they find from the murderous headsmen. We heard the Inspector General of Police talking about people that people should just that the states that have passed the anti-grazing laws, anti-grazing laws, must repeal those laws so that people can roam with their cows and cattle anyhow they like across the places, killing people the way they like. So when you have your chief of army staff and your Inspector General of Police speaking that way, and you had your president talking the way he talked, having clear said that an attack on Boko Haram was an attack on the North at the time. You saw that, and Danjuma put a seal to it when he said it was an ethnic cleansing. And our concern is that if you take the map of Nigeria, in that portion where these things are happening in the northeast, you will see that it is a multi-national kind of thing. But for that caliphate, they come from northern Cameroon, they come from Chad, they come from Niger, they come from northern Mali, very freely across the borders of Nigeria into the Nigerian territory, coming as far as deep into the country as the Benue, that is more than half the way towards the Atlantic Ocean. And when you look at the map of what has happened already, you will begin to imagine if this current administration that is handling globe with this modulus elements, will gain another 4 years in power to continue what they're doing. That was part of why we were supposed to raise an alarm to the United States to say that unless something is done very urgently, we are likely to find a situation where not only would the entire sovereign space of Nigeria get taken by this global Islamic movement, which seems to be relocating its head from the Middle East into the Lake Chad region of Nigeria, which is very likely to suck in those ungoverned spaces we call Chad, we call Niger, we call North Mali. We saw two governors from Niger coming in to campaign with the president of Nigeria, and the multitude of their people coming freely across the border. Information available to us show that they have PVCs with them. Other information will show that they have weapons with them. That they are going to vote in this election that Nigeria is advertising, and they are going to stay back here and defend whatever their people declare as the outcome of the election. So that's the kind of a thing. And we're saying with 200 million people trapped in this Caliphate prison. We call Nigeria Caliphate prison because a federation is supposed to be a union of constitutions. We are supposed to be here on our own volition. That is the claim in the preamble of our constitution, that we the people are solemnly resolved to live in unity as one indivisible country. But that was not the case. At the time this constitution that we have in place came. In 1960, but everybody knows the story of the beginning of Nigeria of 1914, where the British were just in their training mission, establishing a training area which they had to control. All of that could go for colonial, the sovereignty that everybody enjoyed everywhere else. The French were doing their own, the Germans were doing their own, everybody everywhere. But at the time, the British had to leave, and we had to become one country. The basis of being one country was that the three regions of the time, the North, the East, and the Western regions, had agreed on a certain level of autonomy, which was the demand of Sir Ahmadu Bello in the aftermath of the independence motion that was moved by Nahoro in 1953, which the North blocked at the time, saying that they were not ready to move into the internal colonialism of the British going away and the southern part of the country stepping into the shoes of the British. So they said they wanted a certain level of preparation along the lines of being in charge of their territory. There were 8 points of demand by that Ahmadu Bello in that 1953 blockade of the independence motion that Nahoro moved. And it took from 1963 to 1953 to 60 to meet all those conditions, and therefore these three regions, armed with their sovereignty, sent up a certain, a definite form of federation, which were agreed in the Lancaster House meetings of 1959, in which they were just like Germany and France and Sudan coming together to do European Union. That was the kind of federation they signed up to, and everything was going well until 1966, when the soldiers made their incursions to government house, and those 5 constitutions that defined the Federation of Nigeria got toppled. And from that point in 1966, Nigeria became an occupation for those who found themselves being trapped in the Union. The eastern part tried to drag back. The rest of the country, led by that caliphate, came against them. And they were beaten down after 3 years of war and more than 3.5 million killed in what had become Biafra for eastern Nigeria. Of course, they came back against abolition since 1970. But what has happened is that Caliphate has found a way, guided by their British friends who planted them in the first place. They have found a way to make permanent their conquest by imposing a constitution that we can discuss. And our contention at this time is that we must discuss the terms of the union to carry on. Because we want that constitution they posed first in 1979 and carried forward in 1999 when the military was about to vacate the government house of Nigeria. We are saying that our signature has been put on a document that enslaves us. And that document is worse than the apartheid constitution of South Africa. The principles are the same, master and servant kind of constitution. And our signature has been put as the authority for a document that enslaves us, that impovers us, that makes us slaves in our own land. And we're saying we've endured it for 20 years. We will not enjoy it any further. We told the politicians that were going to this election that our quarrel is not with who is in government house. Our quarrel is with the constitution by which the winner will govern. It does not matter how these elections go. Unless we agree on the terms of this union, our position, and when I say our, I mean the southern and middle belt of Nigeria, insists that we must now go to the question of the terms of the union. If we do not go back to it, what has happened is that the constitution of Nigeria is, as imposed, has been repudiated across board. The 12, if you have the map of Nigeria broken into 4, you will see that the 12 contiguous states that passed Sharia simultaneously in year 2000 had seceded from the secular union of Nigeria. Nigeria is supposed to be a secular union. Our interpretation of the action is that having lost faith in that union, they have exercised their right to self-determination by embracing Sharia. And they're also a feudalist, of a feudalist worldview. What is feudalism? Feudalist worldview is one in which they believe that all men are not born equal. And therefore, we have a fundamental clash of civilizations. In their Sharia, they owe it a duty of faith to kill the infidel, meaning that the rest of Nigeria is already guilty to kill. In their feudalism, they believe that they are the master and we are the slaves. And therefore, as slaves, if we insist on democracy, if we insist on constitutionalism, we already, the master can kill his slave. And that's how they've been relating with us all the while. That's why everybody could be talking about holding back for foreigners who are interested in coming to know how that democracy will pretend to be, growing, is advancing. And so, back to what might happen, which is why we went to the U.S. The time we were invited. We are saying that Caliphate that has become a rogue federal government, because you cannot have a federal government without a federation. Nigeria ceased to be a federation in 1966 upon the collapse of the constitutions that federated. Nigeria has been held together by forces in that time. All attempts to get a discussion going on to become a federation one more time have been blocked by these supremacists who have now compounded the matter by embracing Sharia. And not only have they set us back in every possible sphere of human endeavor, Nigeria is coming from the bottom on everything good on global scale. Not only have they dragged us back, they have now brought their foreign friends, ISIS, to come to relocate its headquarters, the headquarters of its operations in this territory. They are on a mission to conquer the entire space. And they are likely to suck in those adjoining countries, each of which are bigger than Nigeria, each of which is bigger than Nigeria in physical size. I'm talking about Chad here, I'm talking about Nigeria here, I'm talking about Northern Mali. If from what we have seen going on across the border there, we know that unless something happens very urgently to stop them, they are going to capture this entire sovereign space. What they set out to do in Iraq and Syria, which the global community is challenging them, they found a confidence space. And we raised the alarm now that 200 million people are trapped here. There could be another 50-60 million in the rest of West African Sub-Saharan, because once they establish here, I do not see which of the West African countries is going to be able to push them back. And if such a calamity were allowed to happen, of course, the global community will have to pay a price. We saw what happened in Syria and the immigration problems it caused in Europe and what it has become. You can imagine if a much larger number of people will find themselves dislocated because this Islamic Caliphate has seized this space. It's an emergency, and we've been trying to wake up the rest of Nigeria to realize the nature of what we've been dressed as democracy. It's not democracy for me. It's not democracy for all of us in the arrangement. It's not democracy for all those who are infidels in the arrangement. It's either we have a federation or everybody will have to make arrangements for what they do with themselves. And that was why in that map you have, that was why the three, the blue, the purple, and the brown, being the Yoruba, the lower Nigeria, and the middle belt, went talking among themselves on what to do, to extricate themselves from the union of death and attrition, which Nigeria has become for them, the union of imposition, which Nigeria has become for them. And so we are advancing what it will take to finalize our exit from the defunct Federation of Nigeria, which died since 1966. All of what we have in place now are pretenses that we still have a federation. We do not have a federation. It has become a unitary occupation for the rest of Nigeria. And we went out there telling the global community what the situation is and what implication it is for everybody everywhere.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony, for that short narrative about the whole conspiracy to continue enslavement of other ethnic nationalities in Nigeria by the Caliphate. Now, we have highlighted the obvious condition of Nigerians today in Nigeria and what they are passing through in the hands of the Caliphate in collaboration with the British government. Now, some people, I've heard you sometimes talk about that the Nigerian Federation died in 1966. And prior to that 1966, what Nigeria had was a regional government where the federating unit, their constitution was the uniting factor, the federating factor in Nigeria at that time, but it died after or during the military intervention. Now, are you among those who are calling for restructuring that we see the revival of the First Republic, where the federating unit have their powers to regional autonomy? Is that what you're pushing for?
Well, the term restructuring means everything to just about anything to anybody who wishes to make a proclamation around it. What the Lower Niger Congress is saying is simple. When the constitutions that defined the Federation of Nigeria collapsed in 1966, there was a meeting held in January of 1967 in Aburi between the regions of the time to try to revive the federation that had collapsed. That meeting ended with an agreement, the one they called the Aburi Accord, but the other side, that northern Nigeria came back, abandoned that agreement, and resorted to brutal force to compel eastern Nigeria to come back. What that meeting in Aburi tried to do was to get Nigeria to restructure itself back to being a federation. And that was not done. What was a limit and the impositions that came until it became constitution at this time. What we're doing is to say that having waited for 51 years, 52 years, for that return to being a federation to happen, and it is not happening, we proclaim that the Federation of Nigeria has come to an end, and that those entrapped in it are taking steps to extricate themselves. The Caliphate territory, the 12 states, have gone their way. The rest of us are working our way to referendums that will finalize our own exit with our sovereignty intact. If in course of pushing towards that referendum, common sense returns to some of those who have lost their common sense, and they bring something that will restore that level of autonomy, that minimum level of autonomy that ensures that we will be the owners of our assets and that our people are able to defend themselves, from any aggression at all, external or internal. Then we can consider that is the one they call restructuring. But at the moment, the default, if no meeting happens, if nothing fundamental happens to return us to being a federation, the Federation of Nigeria is defunct. That's our position. We are heading out from the union if there is common ground found. And I don't see how that common ground can be found in the midst of Sharia that is standing on one side and feudalism that is reinforcing that one side, and the feelings that are a matter of duty of faith for those who embrace the Sharia and the feudalist civilization. So we're saying that it's not enough to come and say, oh, let them restructure Nigeria. No, we are saying that we are specific in saying that the Federation of Nigeria has collapsed. The constitution which is being governed and is being operated and governed now is a fraud against those who are trapped here, and that the federal government we have in place now is a rogue federal government. Nigeria itself has become a rogue state under the constitution that receives from us. Therefore, we are saying that we are not interested in leaving the union except something happens that brings back the level of autonomy that, the minimum level of autonomy that will be acceptable to all of us.
Okay.
You understand the distinction I'm making?
Yeah.
Before
It's
now,
quite clear. It's quite
it
clear.
was that Nigeria must or will leave. Yes.
All right. Okay. Now, considering the situation at hand, we have less than 20 hours. What is 20 hours? Less than 10 hours for the entire thing to start rolling out, talking about Nigerian election. You've made mention that the election people going out to conduct the election or be part of the election is enslaving themselves for the next 4 years or validating their document for enslavement for the next 4 years. What do you think about your reaction? Are you talking about what should happen by tomorrow, or are you looking forward for a continuous campaign that will open up the minds of Nigerian people in general to start understanding the direction of things and why things are getting worse every day in Nigeria? What is your lookout? What is your plan in all this?
The organization, the Lower Niger Congress and its MN Alliance partners, if we go back to the Freedom Pact proclamation, we told the politicians pointedly that Nigeria has arrived at that bus stop South Africa reached in 1990 under the apartheid constitution at the time Frederick was president. That Nigeria has reached that bus stop where it must stop the pretense that this is democracy and rework its foundations. Otherwise, that the union will go up in smoke. We told the politicians that we cannot go to this election mandated by this constitution because whoever wins, our concern is not who votes for who tomorrow. Our concern, which we have raised a long time ago, is about the constitution by which the winner will govern. Let us get that very clear. We are not interested in whether it is Party A or Party B that wins. The shutdown, what the LNC and its alliance partners from the rest of Nigeria and the Middle Belt put in motion is what we call shutdown. That shutdown is to terminate the operation of the Road 1999. And the way it goes is that we have done everything to persuade them to stop the journey to the election. Of course, they've not listened, and they're carrying on as if it is democracy we are doing.
All right.
We said to them...
Okay, continue.
Yes, it is that caliphate, it is climate that wants an election in order to keep reinforcing the country to the rest of us. Of course, they have renegades from South Nigeria, Middle Belt, who in pursuit of little cross here and there, some want to be senators, some want to be governors. But they all forget that the day after the election, and this is what the Nigerian public must open their minds to. All who are going to vote in this election, you have to bear in mind that the day after your vote, those who win the election will have to swear to defend and uphold the instrument by which you are enslaved, the instrument by which you are being tortured, the instrument under which you cannot defend yourself, the instrument by which your oil and gas assets are seized in the Niger Delta region, the instrument by which the port of Lagos is now property of Kano people, the instrument under which marauders from across the Fulani marauders from across the border can come to Benue and Plateau and Taraba and kill people, and the Constitution says they cannot defend themselves. Those who do not know the contents of that Constitution, it's better that they don't learn that lesson with their heads chopped off already. We are saying that Constitution is worse than the apartheid Constitution. The misery you are in is mandated by that Constitution, enabled by that Constitution. So we ask you to come and vote for them. Are going to continue to share the humongous benefits that Constitution confers on them. And the way the other people who have been in this same problem in this continent, South Africa, the way they solved it was that they rejected that Constitution. Did Nelson Mandela contest the election under that Constitution? Did Oliver Tambo contest the election? The ANC led the rest of those who are rejecting the apartheid to reject that Constitution. And it was from the collective pressure from all of them that the government of President de Klerk in 1990 had to make an announcement that Constitution could no longer carry the society any further. Nigeria is at that bus stop right now.
Okay.
All those who are going to vote are putting their signature to their own enslavement.
Okay, I have to stop you there. Let us quickly, because we are running fast with our time. I want to go into what the reactions are from the people who are watching, what they are asking out there. Okay, one of them has asked a very important question. He said that, don't you think that there is another way around outside shutting down the election, going into legislation that can change the Constitution to accommodate what you are narrating? So
No. Let's not waste any time on anybody changing any law anywhere. The mandate of the National Assembly does not include constitution making. The legislative mandate of the National Assembly does not include constitution making, and therefore, since that the National Assembly is a product of the Constitution, we are rejecting that Constitution wholesale. We are not going to accept any aspect of that Constitution on account of the fact that it was there before. We are saying we must go to a process that will settle two questions. First is whether we want to remain in this union, and nobody is going to answer that question on behalf of any group. It has to be by referendum. If we answer that question, that will come to directly by our people in referendum. It is after we've answered that question that will be the second question of the terms of the union, which is where you begin to draw up a constitution, the constitution that will federate the layer among the regional units, that is some nationalities, some national groups, like in the eastern half of southern Nigeria, which we call the lower Niger. It must be, something done between the George, the Ogoni, the Anang, the Efik, the Igbo, in that territory as they agree, as a country of 70 million people for themselves. It is what they have in their hand as their charter of relationship that they will come to meet the Yoruba who will have also done the same thing for themselves, and the Middle Belt who will have also done the same thing for themselves. And anybody who is talking about National Assembly, and that is where we have a problem with those who are talking about it in terms of amending any constitution. We saw one advertisement yesterday in which people were talking about going to amend constitution. Nobody is going to pay any attention to National Assembly on this issue. Their mandate, they are operating in criminality. We are saying that the Constitution is a forgery to the extent that it puts our signature on top of a document we did not make. And on account of that, Nigeria is selling 3 million of crude oil every day. Nigeria is going about killing people in the name of a federation that does not exist. And people are sitting in Abuja reinforcing that criminality because of what they get from the money they share every month. There are people in the states raising siren all over the place and sharing money and pretending that they're a union. We are telling those people they should look at the fact of the country they come from, They should listen to what their people are saying. If they refuse to, what you are saying is that they shut down the agency launched with its eminent associates is transcendental. It goes beyond whatever happens with the election. We would have been happier if elections were stopped. But whatever happens with the election, our target is the constitution by which the winner will govern. That's what that shutdown is targeted at. So it doesn't matter that the election holds or that the host is ends in fiasco or it ends well. We are saying that the shutdown is targeting that constitution to bring it down.
Okay. I'll hold it there because we're going back to take another question from Julius Ebo. He dropped a comment asking you, he said, Tony, now what do we do now that the election have continued to go on? What do we do now? What is the way forward from now? So Julius Ebo is asking you, what is expected to be done now that they have continued with the election? What is expected to be done from now henceforth?
Those who agree with us that we cannot continue in a union of masters and servants, in a union of adherents and infidels, will have to join the task of enlightening others who do not know why they don't have electricity, or why they are being killed in Benue and Plateau, or why their oil and gas belong to other people. Enlightenment will then go to where we will insist that we will not accept the governance of our spaces under that they call the 1999 Constitution. Those who are going to win this election, if it goes on, we don't know what will happen tomorrow. We've done everything to tell the global community that it's a fraud that is going on. And if you have an election in which body bags have become part of the electoral process, we can be sure that that election will have some problems. But whatever happens to the election is not even going to be of our interest is not in who is in government house. The populace from the southern Nigeria, from the middle belt, the few who are able to read and write, the few who are able to go to the internet, should open their eyes and take the information that's already abundantly available to spread among the rest, so that together we can insist that the few who go to government house cannot continue to draw their powers and authority from that constitution that we did not make, but which nevertheless lies that we made, meaning that we signed our own damnation. We did not sign our damnation as that constitution claims. So, in the question of what we do going forward, it is to say to them that we will mobilize ourselves as South Africa did to reject that constitution and all of those who are standing on it as basis of governmental authority. Anybody who wants to know why it has to be so should go to section 14.2a of that constitution to see where the authors of the constitution admitted in writing. Sovereignty belongs to the people, from whom government through this constitution derives all its powers and authority. That is in black and white. Having declared that, they come in the preamble that we are the authors of the constitution and they are governing. And it becomes a matter of except we want to continue in our enslavement, except we want to continue in our status of in the land, we must not come along with those who are organizing. It's not about shouting all over the place. We must organize ourselves in the commissions we want to leave. That's the constitutions, the type of constitutions that were toppled in the 1960s will have to come back. The eastern side will have to have their own constitution. The Yoruba side will have to have their own constitution. The middle will have their own constitution. And therefore, we are pointing at the kind of transition that South Africa did in 1990. They had exactly the same problem. They had an apartheid constitution that enslaved the majority. What the sitting government has to do upon the insistence of the populace was to inflict a transitioning in which those in government house will remain in government house. We are not averse to that. The tenure of this current administration will go all the way to the end of May. We have done most of the work, let me not say all, most of the work, more than 90% of the work of what we saw the federal foundations of Nigeria, if we are to have a union at all, has already been done. What I'm saying is that if anybody wants to pretend that this constitution will be the basis of the union, going into another cycle of 2019 to 2020, we hear people talking about what will happen in 2023, going into the election under this constitution. We're saying that the election that they are insisting on carrying out now should be the very last attempt at holding any election under this constitution. Whatever happens to this election, and we know it will end in fiasco from all of what is those who are in and those who are trying to replace them. Because of the fact that you cannot have anything better than what we are seeing because of the volume of money involved. We're talking about almost 600 billion they gather to share every month in Abuja. That's what is at stake. And you have provisions in the constitution that make the government of the treasury, the private case of those who are in government house. We have a section that excludes the responsibility towards the citizens, section 6, section 6C. We have an appropriation provision that puts the state in the hands of the president and the governor. We have against every ministry. At what point are you going to get anything from there? So we're saying that all of those who are choking, those who are being killed in the Middle Belt, those who want their oil and gas assets back in the Niger Delta, those who want Biafra in the East, those who in the Western region are insisting on the return to federalism, all of them have become the new majority. All of them holding hands and they want to replace the constitution, like the South Africans related the apartheid constitution. Those who impose that constitution on you are now a minority. And we are not prepared to live with Sharia next door that owes a duty of faith to kill us, a duty of faith to kill the infidel, which is how they look at us. We are in a position to say we can continue like this. And those are brethren who are governors and senators and doing all kinds of political party things to try to get benefits under this constitution. We have a call to them now that they are committing treason against the rest of us. All of those who are prepared to swear to defend and uphold this constitution are committing treason against the rest of us.
All right, so hang it on there. Let us quickly go back to our social to see the reaction of our followers that are listening and watching you. One Usobi, can I get this? A lot of comments are coming in, but I need to get that very reaction because it's very important. One Usobi say, Mr. Tony, I agree with you. Well, as well as Biafrans need to come together and fight for our freedom since we have failed to stop the election. Now, another person by name, Patrick Nnadi, said, we don't need to vote under this condition. Another person also quickly said, a lot of comments are coming up. I'm trying to get them. With an unknown name, one studio name, he said, in Nigeria, the right to freedom from discrimination is recognized under Section 42 of Nigerian 1999 Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. He said, the right to freedom from discrimination is recognized. Do you agree with him on that point that this young man just stated right now? Do you agree with that assertion that the right to freedom from discrimination and what is the reality on ground? Very quickly to that.
No, it's certainly it will amount to self-defeat. It is like when the robbers in the country draw up the rule books. Of course, you can imagine all kinds of things they will put in place. All those things are platitudes they write in there for the benefit just to pretend that for window dressing it doesn't hold any water. What's been our experience in the matter of discrimination? How did we come about a quota system in which people from one side require absolutely nothing to get past the entry point, and other people have to jump in very high order? How did we come about the kind of things in the appointments to all the command positions in the country? Look, take that map. Let everybody listening now get a copy of that map, 2024, and begin to place people anything that happens in Nigeria, anything you want to probe, anything you want to find out why it's happening, place the people doing it on their space in that map. If you are talking about Nigeria and its security architecture, bring that map, place the president, the chief of army staff, the secretary of police, the head of state security, DSS, the head of immigration, the head of customs, the head of civil defense, all of those people, place them on that map and see the picture you begin to get. If you hear that the Chief Justice of the Federation of Nigeria is being collected and dragged around before people who are not fit to be his secretary, no matter what anybody wants to say about the corruption, if you want to know what is really going on, bring the main characters, put the president, put the attorney general, put all of those, put the judge before whom the Chief Justice is being dragged, put all of them on that map, put all of them on that map, and you will see who is doing what against who. If you want to know anything about the oil and gas of Niger Delta that has been taken away from them, put all of those who own the oil blocks on that map. The image of this world and all the other people who own oil blocks, put them on that map and look at the people look at the picture you get. Anything you want to find out how it's going on, anything that happens in Nigeria and you want to probe it, dress back. Bring the people whose names feature in that thing that is happening. Put them on that map so that you can see who is doing what against who for what purpose. That's the kind of union we have. Until Nigeria becomes our project, right now it is not our project. Until Nigeria becomes our project, anything that happens, we will submit to that map to see who exactly is doing what, from where, against who.
Okay, all right, we are about wrapping it up.
So there's a freedom of this.
Okay, I got you, Tony. We are wrapping it up in less than 5 minutes. It's almost our time is our time is already far spent. But we are going to conclude this program and probably continue this program after the election tomorrow, because it's obvious the election will carry on. Now, what are you expecting the people to do? Give them a sense of direction on what should be done, because tomorrow is already lost. The election will go on. What are your expectations from the people? What do you think that they should do going forward to liberate themselves from all that you have mentioned and from all you have continued consistently to bring to the Nigerian people's knowledge so that they can be free? Because they say that people perish because of lack of knowledge. So, as a way of summary for tonight's program, tell us what you think the people should do moving forward.
Yes. Everybody should be on the website and on the lookout. The Lower Niger Congress and its associated organizations from other parts of the country that are also choking the unitarianism, this Master Servants Union, we will be reaching out to you. We'll be mobilizing everybody to come to play some part in saying we cannot proceed with this constitution as the basis of the union. If the political leaders, the ones with their senses still in their skull, had gone around rejecting that constitution as the basis of the union. We saw when the solemn assembly that happened in Port Harcourt in 2015 happened, where those from that part said, we reject this constitution as basis. We saw where in September 2007 at Adamasiba Stadium in Ibadan, where the Yoruba gathered with the governors and the traditional rulers in the stadium to say that this constitution as basis of the union. We saw the day Edwin Clark and co were landing in Makurdi, July 2018, when all of those who were going to say so in and they did say so that day. Therefore, with the Sharia belt that has moved away, seceded from the secular union of Nigeria, with the Eastern Bloc, the Western Bloc, and the Middle Belt holding hands that are rejecting that fraudulent of the union, where they want to mobilize our people, the masses of our people, in steps, in directed steps that will further the operation of that constitution The less than 1,500 people who are going to be swearing themselves in after the charade of elections in February and March are such a tiny minority. It will be shame on the 200 million people, other people, who to be standing by and watch the criminality of carrying on with that constitution at the time they can stop that South African did to reject that constitution. The Lower Niger Congress and its MNN associates is providing direction in this matter, and we've got everywhere around the world that people who are stakeholders should be informed. They've been informed. We are therefore going to mobilize our people to get ready to take back something that has been hijacked, because it is death that is coming their way if they refuse to reject that constitution. It is that constitution that brings the people from Biafra to come to kill people in Africa. We must reject that constitution. We're in the position to reject it. We have already repudiated it. We're in the position to stop the little number that are going about contesting the election and sharing money in Abuja in the name of all of us. This is no democracy for us. It will be democracy for them. It's not democracy for us. The Caliphate and their sockets in southern Nigeria and Middle Belt. They're trying to stop them, and we're going to mobilize people to march out and stop them.
Okay, thank you very much.
We are heading for referendum.
All right, thank you so much.
The Federation of Nigeria is no more.
Thank you very much, Tony. Tony, we appreciate your coming.
People can.
We appreciate you, Tony. I think we've had enough.
People can.
Okay, let me give you an extra 20 seconds to round up, because we are already far spent our time.
Those who want to follow up on what they're expected to do should go to the website lowernigercongress.org, www.lowernigercongress.org. Those who want to see what has happened already should go to YouTube, Lower Niger Congress. Search the YouTube, you will see the videos of all of what has been done. Those who are on Facebook can go to Lower Niger Congress. You will see what is happening every day. And in the coming days, we are going to be conducting fresh registration for people, volunteers, who will be taking in a few, like 3 million volunteers who will help mobilize the rest of the people from that part into the referendum that is bound to come. Because this constitution has run its full life, and it will not be allowed to continue as the basis of the union.
All right. What contact would someone call to get directly in contact with LNC, Lower Niger Congress? What call? You've said the email, you've talked about the YouTube, and I believe by esteemed viewers out there, you are getting the whole gist. Please ensure you visit that website, go to their YouTube channel, Lower Niger Congress, LNC, type it on any of the search engines, you will get more information. Now give us quickly the numbers to call, very quickly, so that we wrap it up.
The phone number that can be called, particularly on WhatsApp, because a lot of information can be moved in, is 0810 056 9448. Again, 0810 056 9884. That's the phone number on which you can reach at Lower Niger Congress in 4 hours.
All right, thank you, Tony. We sincerely appreciate you for coming on People's Parliament, and we will definitely make a time with you again on this platform. Our people are proud of you. They appreciate you. We can't take their reactions a lot. In fact, the reason why calls are not coming in is because my phone got crashed. As usual, enemies of truth, those who don't want to hear the truth, those who don't want this truth to spread from this platform, are working so hard to stop this platform. But I tell you, we must continue. Nothing can stop the determination of our people who are determined to be free. Nothing can stop their movement for freedom. So I appreciate you for watching, and I appreciate Nnadi for being here with us. Please bear with me, those of you who tried to call in, those of you who want to reach us on this platform but couldn't because of the problem we have with our phone, and we're trying to rectify it. By next week, we'll be able to get another phone to continue bringing you up-to-date information with what is happening with our people in this colonial contraption called Nigeria. So thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do yourself good. Do your people good. by subscribing and inviting others to do same, because here we are a movement. BVI Channel 1 is not just a media platform. BVI Channel 1 is a movement that is driven with ideology. We are here to empower you with the right information. So keep subscribing, keep liking, keep sharing. One love. We appreciate you all. Those who have been calling, showing their concern and prayer and love towards what we're doing here, we appreciate you so much. Join me tomorrow from 7 a.m. on this platform. We will be live and direct to bring you all that will be happening in Nigeria. Cut across the entire country, we will be bringing you every up-to-date with what is happening in Nigeria tomorrow as they go into their presidential and national assembly elections. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Tony Nnadi, for being part of this program. We sincerely appreciate you and will have you soonest. I will say, as you sleep, sleep tight. As you sleep, sleep tight. Be safe. Please don't get yourself involved in any irregularities or any violent actions that will lead to loss of lives and properties. Conduct yourself like civil and well-behaved people. Don't cause